artist, and quite frankly, a girl that no one has quite known just how to love. The ink and the paint were my path to other places and worlds that felt safer than the one I was born into. Most of what I'm going to share with you is real. All of it is true, at least for me. But it's like a reflection of life seen more in the surface of water than a mirror. It's fluid, movable, and open to interpretation. I have always been more interested in the worlds within me than the one I've been told is reality, though at times I've tried to bring those worlds, the places and creatures outside of myself to share with others. I'm far more interested in how we imagine ourselves and our world to be than what others tell us it is. I wonder often if I chose this life, these experiences, this body, these relationships. It's only in the last few years that I've started understanding that my life is a book. I am both the writer and the character. Each day a page, each year a part of an anthology I am creating. I ask myself frequently now, what would the reader want her to do next? And the answer was, be brave. I was not born the girl who could write the Reliquarian, but I was always meant to become her. My mother was always better at loving plants than people, and so I imagine her womb as the hollow of a tree, able to hold life within it because of the void. A beautiful womb that left an emptiness I was never meant to think of as home. My father's love was a ghost, showing itself on occasion. I have and am still continuously questioning whether or not it truly exists, haunted by both its presence and absence equally. I will always be a lavender and lilac child, dreaming of the world in watercolor emotions, born to the pathless path these pages lead. Artistry and eloquence have and will always be the stepping stones I cross into healing and back to myself. That is all these words and paintings were ever meant for. The Reliquarian is simply a journey to find the girl who has been lost to the tree, left, forgotten in the void, where love could not grow. I think I had violet hair before I decided to be born, and that I wore it like hope tangled around the roots of my ancestors in utero, when I was still but stardust in the womb of my grandmother, when I was sure my heart was brave enough to love the whole world. I am now 42. Last year I bought an 1800s haunted Victorian mansion on a mountain that remembers, in an ancient forest that knows. I left everyone and everything I knew and loved, in a life that was becoming a ruin of the castles I tried to build, to become the woman who writes a story about a girl that has to fix a broken heart. When I arrived, the house felt like it was sleeping. It had been dormant with locked gates for nearly half a century, and I was immediately appointed to a topic of intrigue and gossip in a very small town I had moved to. Stepping across the threshold of the largest house in the mountain, its bones of oak and iron holding stories too long silenced, its walls papered with the breath of women who dared to dream before the world gave them permission. The house had been built as a gift from husband to beloved wife, named Silverside as she was the silver side of every storm cloud for him, purchased by another husband for his wife, who saved her from being torn down as pieces of her collapsed and caved in, then purchased by a man who saw her as his private hunting lodge, who locked her gates and hid her away. For nearly 40 years the gates remained closed and locked. Even in the rare instances he did visit, the gates locked behind him. He would hunt, take his kills, and go. The house was owned by him but belonged to the caretakers who saw it through 2 previous owners. And then I stepped across this threshold and out of a life carefully arranged. Military wife, mother, entrepreneur, an artist only in the margins, even in the book of my own life. My children are grown. My marriage, that I made mosaics of with rose-stained glass, broken beyond repair and redemption, holding the pieces of my kintsugi heart and the smallest flicker of a fire I once held within it, into a home that I would let wrap me in its melancholy. Trees from old-growth forests that hid me away in convalescence as I mourned so many things, both house and heart haunted, yet clinging to the hope of reincarnation. Houses are not just wood and stone, you see. Each person that crosses their threshold leaves a little of themselves behind. The stardust we are made of settles in the corners. After a time, a quiet spirit is enkindled within the walls, stitched together from the lives it has held. Every whispered secret, each childlike giggle, every broken-hearted tear soaked into the floor, dreams and wishes scribbled in notebooks and midnight hours. It all lingers. It seeps into the wallpaper, ground into the grain of the wooden floorboards. It dances like dust in the sunbeams through the windows, until the house becomes a collective consciousness of all the lives before yours, before mine. This is why old houses so often are homes for spirits, why they have more magic than new ones. Each life is breath and blood in an old house. When they are left alone for long times, some houses grow bitter, others forget, but some wait. Some go dormant like the trees of the forest that surround them in winter. They call to their new caretakers. They choose us, though we think we chose them. They will call for the hands they want to brush back the cobwebs, the voice they want to speak its name again, the soul they will shelter in return for awakening the sleeping magic between the mortar and studs of this house's old bones. Reliquarian House was never just a home. It has, since its beginning, been a keeper of memory, a portal for those who've lost their way, a witness to the quiet resurrection of a woman returning to her sacred self. But it didn't just call me, it's also calling you. It's time to come home, love, it whispers as the wind dances with the curtains in long hallways. It's time to come home, echo the flowers as they sleepily stretch up to the warmth of the sun from the gardens. It's time to come home, I write for both you and I, ink drying on the page, a returning to the Reliquarian House and also to self. I moved into the house, already haunted myself, and in deep melancholy as I mourned all the things I was and all the things I thought I was. I hid like a child here, locked the doors, let the forest conceal me as it had done the house for decades now. Slowly I wandered the rooms and halls, timidly introducing myself and getting to know her. It took weeks to wake her, and she, like me, was timid. Both of us left alone, neglected and wounded by the men who were meant to be our protectors and caretakers. She began to show me her scars and the places that needed healing, and in return she sheltered me from the world as I dressed my own hurts that needed tending. For a year I felt like a caretaker, a guest in my own house, as if it and all within it belonged to another. I left no imprint of myself that could not be quickly concealed. I had little faith in my new home and my ability to keep it as my own. She's monumental, as are her gardens and grounds, and I have felt so small and fragile lately. In the back of the house, the furthest room, hidden on the north side, existed an old storage pantry. It was the one part of the home that felt like it had suffered at the hands of hoarding, decades and centuries of things shoved and piled on shelves, somewhere no one would see. A small room, something that could be mine. The room was one of the smallest in the house, and that felt like low commitment for me, a tie easily broken if I couldn't keep it. As is always the case, our outside circumstances mirror our inner fears and capacity for love. This giant, sprawling, four-floor mansion, and even living alone, I was afraid to claim space in it where people could see, honoring the remnants of lives already lived as if the walls and everything within them still belonged to the ghosts that had long since ceased to exist in the physical world. Patience is a virtue that does not come naturally to me. I am, however, rather known for underestimating the amount of work any one project is. I suppose many people starved for affection often find themselves biting off more than they can chew. After 2 painstaking days of trying to sort things, I began to consider just swiping everything from the shelves into the trash and starting fresh. And just as I moved the bin into position, I heard a knocking coming from somewhere else in the house. Through the dining room, past the ballroom, I smelled smoke. Entering the bar, there was a photo hanging above the gas fireplace. It had been there for decades. It was an old frame, a photo taken from an airplane and framed by the second owner, Mrs. Birch. She had folded several pieces of letterhead from her husband's business behind the frame to help keep the glass secure. The backing, for no discernible reason, had separated. The folded papers had fallen, and there the flames licked at them, threatening to catch fire. The pages were singed and blackened. A few moments more, and it was very likely the house would have caught fire in my first few months there. I was reminded that I was disturbing things that had sat still for a very long time, and that it would be polite to ask permission, explain my intentions, and despite my impatience, go slowly. The shelf I was about to empty in one big sweep of the arm then revealed to me a pair of old spectacles, most likely from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and photographs of the house from the 30s mixed in with old receipts. It took several days more simply to sort through all the belongings. I'm writing this 18 months past the start of this renovation, and I still have to remind myself that all these belongings are mine. They feel like they belong to the house. Each owner has left behind most of the furnishings and decor when they go, as if they were jewelry and adornments meant to stay with the house. My mother wore her masculinity like armor, hardened herself against the world, and tried her best to harden me. I was often teased, ridiculed, and flat out bullied for liking anything soft and feminine, until I disassociated from it entirely, severed myself from my softness and intuition. I was never allowed to be delicate, but most of what remained was delicate and fragile in the pantry: crystal, porcelain, and silver. In great houses of this era, there was often a ladies' pantry, where the fine china and silver would rest, and food could be prepared by the housekeeper and staff. I see myself more as the housekeeper rather than lady of the manor. I suppose I am both, as I am the only one here. Keeper of this house does not feel a diminishing title, but rather a sacred responsibility, one that I'm grateful for every day. And this little corner I'm allowing myself to fill with florals and soft blushing pink and little lights that glimmer on every piece of porcelain, fragment, and refract on the bevels of crystal. This was a letting go process for us both, clinging to so much that was serving neither of us, that wasn't ours to hold anymore, making way for new intention, new purpose, new space, new things. The ladies' pantry was an invitation to embrace the art of discernment. It was the physical process reminding me to sort through not only the belongings here, but my experiences, relationships, and possessions that I was carrying from old stories into this new chapter, reminding me to keep only what truly feels nourishing to my soul, to let go of what was no longer serving me, but not with impatience or anger, slowly, with gratitude and love, a letting go, not discarding, clearing the space and setting it up in a way that I find so lovely and enchanting, healed a little part of myself and a little part of the house, who I've taken to calling Lulu. Both of us a little more open to the idea of being a home for those we love and those in need. And now, with the pantry complete, she's calling to the part of my spirit that is my grandmother, that knows love and home begins in the kitchen, and with the intent of serving people, feeding them. I am setting the intention in this small beginning, and perhaps the house is too, for this to be a place to come home to, come as you are, be met with love, be nourished in body and spirit, and for every corner of the house and my life to be lovely, over romanticized, delicately feminine, imaginatively creative, and very much mine, but also hers, a co creation between Lulu and I. And now it includes you as well. The completion of the space revealed the first oracle card, the Key of Discernment. And what door shall we try our key in next, beloved? If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. It's the easiest free way to support the Reliquarian House. You can also go to www.patreon.com/Jessica Lark and subscribe in order to help decide the fate of the house. Receive our exclusive oracle deck, handwritten letters from the house mailed to you, and become a part of our Reliquarian Society with journal and art prompts, tutorials, advanced ad-free content, and more. This doesn't exist without you. You aren't listening to the story, you're creating it. Love to you all, darlings.